In the gym and in the car, with our advice you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes, and talk about our sexy dates. We host events and go to clubs, but most of all we're still in love. It's getting hard for this to rhyme, just as well, 'cause it's bed hopping time.
Hello and welcome to the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name's Mr. H.
I'm Mrs. H.
This is episode 163. Thanks for joining us today. Mrs. H, how you doing?
I'm a bit tired.
You're a bit tired?
A little bit tired.
Bit tired. But before we go into our the episode and the announcement that we've got to make in just a moment, How is life treating you, Mrs. H?
It's not as biblically shit as it was.
Okay.
So I think I have to inject some positivity into this one.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So
my dad's hanging in there.
Yeah, he's still alive.
He's all right.
This was a triumph.
Yeah, he's battling on because he's a little trooper.
Yeah.
So that's all right. What else is happening?
We've not been to the hospital for a week.
I know. There you go.
We did
Win-win.
Pride.
Pride was lovely. Wonderful.
Wonderful.
It was a bit soggy.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. And I love Pride every year. And I'm immensely proud that we can take part in a celebration like that.
So we had that.
So
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We had a lovely, sexy time with some guests.
We did a lot of day drinking.
We did a lot of day drinking.
A lot of night drinking.
And we caught up with the delightful Secret Stag and Secret Vixen. They were on holiday for a week. It felt like a lifetime.
Oh,
we missed them.
We missed their faces.
But what's more, we got to catch up with some other folks there. It was lovely to see them. And yeah, it's been sort of a slightly better time of it recently, I'd say.
And also I am looking forward to my impending birthday celebrations.
Well, yeah, that is only a week or so away.
In fact, a week today.
Well, while we're recording, but it may not be a week today when you're listening.
Right now, it's a week today. I will be half a century old.
Half a century?
Yes.
Wow.
I know. And according to Chris Pratt, I'll be dead.
I think what you're referring to is the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 film, in which Star-Lord says once you hit 50, you die or something to that effect.
Pratt said.
Okay, that's fine. So it comes from the words of James Gunn, but the mouth of Chris Pratt. So I don't think we're taking that too seriously.
I've been taking it very seriously. I'm living every day next week like it's my last. And I'm just celebrating getting to half a century.
Well, to be fair, you've been moaning every day as if it's your first. So I think there's definitely feels like where hopefully, touch wood and all that jazz, coming out the other side of what has been a biblically shit time.
Yeah.
We've had some naughty escapades. We've had some fun. We've had, obviously there's been some serious stuff too, but actually it feels like we've had a chance to recoup a little bit.
Yes.
And things are hopefully starting to level out and sort of on the up and on the roller coaster that is the next couple of months.
Oh, roller coasters.
Roller coasters, quite literally. But we head to PCAP in October.
And we're going to do some roller coasters.
Yeah, we're going to do some roller coasters.
Not at PCAP.
No, we're going to do that
as far as I
then.
know, she hasn't put on roller coasters for us all.
I'll be she. I assume you're talking about Kate.
Yes.
Yes, from Wanderlust Swingers. So we're doing that. That's going to be a fun-filled weekend. We're just going as guests, so that'll be cool.
Yeah.
And we're also sort of spending a little bit of time around Flow Rider, Miami, Orlando, and some of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Which is going to be really exciting.
And we're going to do some roller coasters.
And we're going to be absolutely piss poor by the time we get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
but
fine.
Life's a living, right?
Exactly. That's for future us to worry about.
When you get to 50, like me, you'll be dead. Dead. Soon you will be.
Well, this will be after you're 50. So am I just going by myself?
Oh, maybe.
Am I?
You'll get to go like solo rider, so you'll be like skipping all the queues.
So I get to skip all the queues at the theme parks, and then I get to go to PCAP as a single guy.
I guess.
It's quite a change.
And I'll be dead, so we'll do
You'll be dead,
about it.
So, I don't have to worry about anything.
We had this conversation the other night. I reckon you'd do okay as a single guy.
I don't think anybody would want me as a single guy.
You're nice, right?
Oh, thanks. That's it. You'll do all right as a single guy. You're nice.
No, glowing endorsement.
Nice.
He's nice. No.
Very pleasant.
Very nice, very benevolent. I was going to list your nice attributes.
What are you?
And, if you were going into the lifestyle as a single guy, then you'd have some really good selling points I shall list them thus.
Okay.
And they're not written down, they're in my head.
Okay.
Are you ready?
All right.
No particular order.
Have you been thinking about this as you've been
not
thinking
even
about your
remotely.
impending doom?
This is actually live as it happens.
Oh, God.
It's coming up my head right now.
Strap in,
Are you
folks.
ready?
This could be interesting. Go for it.
Right, number 1, beautiful teeth. I told you it was a weird list.
Okay. I'm not a massive fan of my teeth.
You've got a beautiful smile, babe.
Thank you. But the smile is an open mouth one.
Yeah, but you've got nice teeth.
If I put them together, I look like a fucking psycho. I look like I'm going to be there going, here's Johnny, bashing a door down.
Yeah, but every picture I've ever seen of you, yes, you do have a big, wide open mouth smile. However, how nice is it to have a smile that looks great?
It's so that people can gently place M&Ms in my mouth whilst I'm
things
smiling.
in between your teeth.
Exactly.
How many things? We can play Buckaroo with Mr. H's mouth.
The chubby bunny contest.
So, nice teeth.
Okay, all right.
As I said, it's not in a particular order, and you can feel free to rehash this once I'm dead
Okay.
into your single guy profile.
This is not on my show notes at all.
Number 2, good sense of humour.
Okay.
Very important.
I think many people listening would disagree on that front.
No. You do great impressions.
I'm not sure I can back that.
All right, you do impressions.
Yes, there we go. That's probably closer to the truth.
Okay. Number 3, stamina.
Stamina.
Great stamina.
Great stamina.
Mm-hmm. in all aspects of lifestyle activity. I mean drinking. Good stamina for drinking.
Yeah, that's true.
Patience. You have a great level of patience when it comes to dealing with me.
Yeah.
And sexually, you have great stamina.
Sexual stamina.
Sexual stamina.
I'm not sure I can
It's
back
like an
that
aftershave.
up. Would you like some sexual stamina, sir?
By Londrick. I'm not sure what it smells of, but it smells of success.
Garbage.
Garbage.
Smells of garbage.
Whereas mine would be lethargy.
Yes. Apathy for
It smells
goths.
like despair.
Okay.
It's a great stamina.
Okay.
What's next on your list of great reasons why we should hook up with you because you're a single guy? Extensive film and comic knowledge.
It's very handy for most women that I've met. I think there may be 2 or 3 women that applies to in the entire.
Well, why don't we just twist it a bit and call it like a dorkable?
Fucking hell.
Is it? You can be like a sexy nerd, dork, dunkard kind of vibe. I think you need to sell the nerdy side of you because that's really sexy to people.
Okay, play up the nerd side, you think?
I'd rather have like a sexy nerd than a kind of ridiculously worked out gym freak that's always just like into weird stuff.
Okay.
A really good selling point for me, if I was looking for someone like you, would be lack of sports enthusiasm.
These are very, very particular.
A set of skills, yeah.
No,
you should use them.
I think I realise what's happening here. I see what's happening here.
I see what's happening here.
Now, when we originally started talking about this episode,
Face to face with greatness and it's clear.
I know how you feel. Anyway.
You're adorable.
Thank you. It's true. But when we spoke about this episode originally, you wanted to talk about like great relationships.
Oh, originally.
And what makes a great relationship. But it felt like it was going to be a bit like a humble brag, like, our relationship, so much better than yours. And that's how, but really, it was just, I think what you're doing is you're building all these reasons why I would be a good single guy. And then I'm waiting for the up slap on my head where you go, reasons why you make a terrible husband.
No, not at all. I'm extolling the benefits of how your profile would appear if you went into the lifestyle as a single guy.
Okay.
And, I think you don't sell yourself short, although you are short. You could put on your list if you want. It could be a selling point, but you do have some great single guy attributes.
Okay.
Yeah. You dress really well.
Thank you. Well, according
Apart from right now.
Yeah. Apart from right now.
Well, you're not in like a going out mode. You're in like
okay.
a, hey, I'm at home recording mode.
Oh, good. Thank you for that.
Oh, you always smell nice.
Oh, thank you.
Like you really always do smell nice. So that's excellent. Yeah, just great.
Okay, so when
Top drawer, babe. Well done.
Thanks. So when the inevitable Armageddon happens for Mrs. H, ladies that are into single guys, be aware, because
who doesn't watch football?
Yeah.
Not into any kind of sports. I've got another one. You don't drink beer.
No, I don't drink beer. This is true.
That is a great selling point.
Is it though?
I think so.
Okay.
You have like classy drinks.
Okay.
You make a great cocktail.
Thank you. This has turned into
Can cater for very specific diets.
Okay, right.
Awesome cook. I've just written your profile for you.
Thank you, dear. It's going to be very sad when you die, but obviously I'll immediately go back to this episode and write these things down and have them on my profile before your funeral's even finished.
Thanks. You're welcome. I think I helped. I wrote half of this for you.
You really did. So thanks for all those wonderful compliments.
You're welcome.
I'm going to move this away from this strange thing that I've experienced that was like an alternate universe somehow. And what I do want to announce is something that might be a little bit like an alternative universe. In fact, it might even be like when you go through the door
Yes,
in the
I know
Lion,
what
the
you're
Witch
going to
and
say.
the Wardrobe and takes you to Narnia. Because we are announcing our next event, a combined event with the lovely Kate and Daryl from Wanderlust Swingers. This is the Winter Wonderland.
I mean, it's not like a Christmas grotto.
It's not like a
You
Christmas
won't
grotto.
visit Santa.
Well, this is on the Saturday, the 18th of November. Well, it's that weekend, but the Saturday is the main thrust of it all. But this is something really, really special. And I know that we've told you listeners, gentle listeners, many, many times about all of our events. But I think this one is extra fucking special.
How many Mr. Tumnesses will there be?
12th, all the Mr. Tumnesses, which is why no children are allowed, because he's a little bit child molestery.
And are we giving out Turkish delight in the game?
Let's not get it. Let's explain what this is about. So I think this is what we think is the UK's biggest ever complete hotel takeover and club takeover. So
and we're talking like a big hotel.
We're talking
not just like a little boutique one with 10 rooms.
No, we're talking like
I don't know,
like
90,
80, 90 rooms.
Yeah.
Full of swingers from around the world that have come together so that they can experience. We're going to do some cool stuff like room crawls. We're going to do pre-parties. We're going to do gift bags. Fucking excellent stuff. Also, we're going to provide transport to Penthouse Playrooms, which is where we're hosting the club night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this, I think, is probably the biggest hotel takeover that the UK has ever seen in terms of swinging.
And if they've done one before, then they've kept it very quiet.
They did keep it very quiet. I've not heard of it. So, I'm sure there are big parties that go on. I'm sure there's there's smaller hotel takeovers, and I'm sure there are events and all this sort of stuff. But I don't think I've seen one that has the value. And I mean value, because you get a lot of fucking stuff packed in this.
Oh, you really do.
So you get your hotel room for the cost. You get your goodie bag or your welcome bag. You get a room crawl that you can either decorate your room, or you can take part in, or you can just wander around, or you can avoid if you want. There's a pre-party on the Saturday. There's transport from the hotel to the club, and it also gets you access to the amazing party that we'll be hosting at the club.
Of course.
I can't think there's anything better than all of that
You'll
stuff.
be there.
I'll be there. Yeah.
And I've just listed off like all the reasons why you're great.
Yeah, and by this point,
You'll
I'll
be a
be
single
single.
guy.
Yeah, single guy by that point. So that would be, ladies, don't let this put you off at all.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty nifty with HDMI cables as well. I didn't add that.
Okay, all right. Let's move on from the Mr. H is awesome thing, because I want to say that I honestly think that this could be an incredible event. We'll post the link to tickets, which are going to be available now to everybody. So normally we open these things up, and we have done, to our Discord
Pre-attendees.
Attendees to previous events, and to our community, to Kate and the Wanderlust community. They get a chance to have tickets first, and we've already sold a bunch of great tickets to great people. And then it's open to you, general public.
Yeah, we're opening it up now.
Along. Now, what I will say is there will be at some point later on a very, very limited number of tickets just to the party.
So that doesn't give you the hotel stay, or the takeover, or the pre-party, or the transport,
bag,
or the goodie bag.
It just gives you access to the club on the night. Gives you access to our Discord.
Of course.
And the chat that's leading up to it. And it will also give you access to any pre-meet Zooms that we do. Because often we like to do a couple of Zooms a couple of weeks before the events to let everyone get to know each other, or give them the opportunity to make some friends before they rock up at the club.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sort of almost losing my voice already with the excitement that I'm talking about this event. Now, because it's the Winter Wonderland, there's going to be a bit of a white theme to this.
What, like snow?
Snow White, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Or Narnia, like we said.
Exactly that.
Or basically wintry. I'm thinking like crisp white snow, fur maybe.
Yep.
Sparkly things, bling, silver, white. Yeah, just like a lovely white wintry theme.
Exactly that. I think this is a great opportunity to do something awesome before all the Christmas stuff starts rolling in and there's too much time to spend with family and friends and loved ones and all those boring gits. Come out,
before we
party
get
with us.
on the Christmas, bandwagon, and then it all goes into Christmas, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. This is a last stop before we start going to that space, and it's a really good chance to see the end of the year out with us, Kate and Daryl, and some amazing friends that are coming along with us. So we can't wait for you to come along with us. And again, as I said, links in the show notes. Okay. So this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So as we said, it's been a bit of a hectic time for us over the last couple of weeks. It's been manic, and there's been lots of visiting Mrs. H's dad. There's been lots of phone calls about care. There's been lots of work disasters going on for both of us. And we've both been sort of absolutely fucking knackered. So we're sort of recording this rather late in the day and rather late in the recording process, really, for us, I suppose.
Yeah.
Normally we do this a bit early and we'd be able to share it much sooner with our Patreon members and all that kind of stuff. But we are literally shooting from the hip. Now, with that in mind, we hadn't really had a great deal of time to think about what we were actually going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So we got in touch with some friends and we got in touch with Twitter and we put the question out there, what would you like to hear us talk about? And no one replied. So it's going to be a really short episode.
A veritable smorgasbord
Smorgasbord
of
stuff.
nothingness.
Well, actually, we did have some good questions that we want to talk about briefly and cover, and then get out of here and then crack on with some sleep because, it's nearly the weekend. That's the plan, right?
Excellent stuff.
So the first one, right?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Was a question. I think this may have come from Secret Vixen and Mabel off of Max and Mabel, right?
Oh.
Have you had any eye-opening experiences on your journey? Any good ones, any bad ones, any that stick in mind? Now, this could take the entire show. So I think it's just one or two things that, like a good one and a bad one, that spring to mind that have particularly opened your eyes.
Okay. All right. Let's think. So you want my good one first?
Yeah, let's go with your good one.
Okay. Yes, I do.
Oh, good.
Actually a surprise, isn't I? I mean, I've got loads, but if I have to really, 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 really pick one, so I'm not going to mention names because that's not fair, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll keep it nice and neutral. But I think it was the time when I was lucky enough to experience a group encounter with your good self, of course.
Oh, good.
You were there.
Mm-hmm.
And two males who were interacting with each other as well as me.
Yeah.
And you were also obviously there with the wife of one of those males.
Okay.
So there was me, you, the wife, the man and the man.
Okay. And I think
it's like an Enid Blyton novel, isn't it?
If you've heard our podcast previously, I think you'll be able to figure out who
so
that is.
So there was five in a bed and the little ones. So there were five, but it was a very bi experience because the men were interacting with each other, which I found extremely exciting, and I got to join in with that. And I was very lucky enough to experience that again, not with the same group of people, but I have experienced that again, and it's made me realize that that's probably one of my favorite encounters. And when that crops up, I'm actually, that's great. But that was the first time it happened, was probably one of my favorite encounters because I was like, oh my God, this is great.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, yay.
Well, I'm going to go in with a bad eye-opening experience.
Oh.
And I think, we've covered this one before. It's one of those worst ever meet kind of things. Not the worst ever one because, we talked about that fairly recently. The one that was really eye-opening to me about how damaging, how dangerous some of the situations that you can find yourselves in, and if you're not careful, is around the whole special brew thing.
Oh, that's a pretty shit one, yeah.
That was very eye-opening. And I think it opened my eyes to our approach to make sure that we're sort of being safe and that we're checking the profiles properly and we're checking the messages and making sure we're feeling it. I think there was a an eye-opening situation around actually getting to the location and meeting the people, and that should have been a trigger for us. And also, I think with our communication at the time while we were there was really an eye-opener for me. So I think as an experience, that one really kind of has stuck with me around how safe we are, how we interact, how we go about our business. And I know we've not always gotten it right, and it's in the theme tune, we fuck things up and we make mistakes. But actually for me, that was an experience that really made me recognize that this was dangerous, not only just to our relationship, but this was dangerous to our health and our safety and other people's health and safety. So I think that really struck a chord with me and has made me a lot more cautious in terms of throwing ourselves into situations. I think that was the pinnacle of the wild abandon. Let's throw ourselves at a problem.
How bad it can get.
And how bad it can get for me. Do you have a bad one?
Do I have a bad one? I'm trying to think if I've had a bad one that we both found really bad, or if it was just bad for my thoughts.
I think one of the ones that springs to mind was the chap that stealthed you while we were at VA.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was such a shocking thing. I don't,
That was an eye-opener.
that was definitely an eye-opener.
Like, what the hell?
And I think, again, it's the bad side of this whole thing. And I think it's probably why we go out of our way to promote consent and sexual health and safety and getting tested and all this sort of stuff. And I think, but actually it's also about what we should have done at the time. We should have reported it properly and dealt with it. And I think we took some flack on podcast reviews and some other places for the way that we handled it. Well, I think
not that that's an excuse, but we probably didn't realise how bad a situation that was until retrospectively. And now looking back, it's absolute madness to think that that would happen and you wouldn't go, what the actual fuck, and complain or do something. But at the time, you're like, huh? Like that happened?
Yeah. I think in terms of, let's move on to a good one. I think, and this goes back to actually the first time that you came in a sort of lifestyle encounter. Because I'm good at...
I was one of my additional ones. I was like, should I go with that?
But, I'm used to knocking them out like skills,
Yeah.
But
add it to your list.
Add it to my list of why I'm amazing. But that was a real eye-opener, actually. And one of the first sort of real times where I've really stopped and watched. And then that's rare for me and enjoyed. And it was hard not to become emotionally engaged at how emotional you were. And I think it was a really, and it was a beautiful moment. It really was. And I really, that calls back to me when I want to remember why this is a good thing that we do. And, for you to sort of not only get there after like a couple of years of it not happening, but also to be so overcome with emotion about the fact that you weren't broken was a huge eye opener for me. It was very fun. And of course the other eye opener was going to the eye surgery for 6 months in a row trying to get a chalazion sorted out. That was so a lot of my pictures you see me really super squinty with a big horrible blob on my eye. That wasn't fun.
Oh.
But that was a very literal eye opener that I treat to this very day.
You do.
There we go. So that was the first question. Are you ready for the next question?
I'm ready.
Okay. Now I know who this comes from. It comes from the Bristol couple. And they said, when meeting a couple for the first time to see if there's a connection, what would be your advice for a successful meet? And they said, aside from like pet treats.
So when you're meeting a couple for the first time.
Yep. So you've spoken to a couple.
So
you've been in touch.
Online,
you've met them
chatted.
online. Maybe you've even met them at an event, but you've not actually sat down and gone.
With just them.
You're kind of in that sort of, could be. I don't know. Could be. Let's get to know each other and let's figure this out. Is this a thing? Is it not a thing? Where do we sit on this adventure?
Okay. So this isn't necessarily a play situation. It's just a first physical meet.
It's a
four.
Yeah.
And what was the follow-up bit?
What would be your advice for a successful meet?
Oh, a successful one.
Yeah. How would you make that meeting, that first one, successful?
Excellent. Right.
For me.
Yeah.
And I know that was superfluous for me to add that, but and I've broken one of my own bad habits, but I am a firm believer in being honest and open. And unfortunately that does mean I tend to overshare a whole lot, but I think there is something about being genuine to who you are, because there's nothing worse than finding out that people are putting on an act. And I think I would much rather people understand who I am and get the basics of Mr. H than for me to be sort of putting on a super duper act just because I want to fuck somebody down the end of the road, because they're sure to discover that facade.
Hey.
I also wanted to get facade into the conversation. I'm quite pleased about that. But anyway, so what would your top tips be?
So basically what you're saying, you would be very transparent and open and honest.
Yeah, I think so. For me, it's important. And I think as we've gotten on, it's okay to go, actually, we think this might not be a play thing, but we really like you. We just want to hang with you. And I'd rather be able to say that. I'd rather
someone was able to, as we've said before, celebrate the no's as well as the kind of, hey, let's get it on.
Yeah.
Because actually, I think you'd much rather someone was honest with you than me off. Okay, so for me, let's think. So first meets, I think a good impression actually resonates with you, and it's that first meeting sometimes that can make or break something. So I'm very conscious that my face can tell 1,000 stories sometimes without really intending to come across as Medusa. Sometimes I accept that I don't always give off a best impression because I look like I want to stab someone. And so for me, I'm quite conscious more so now of not scaring people in that first 5 minutes. I try really hard to, although that's probably my default personality, annoyingly, I'm really trying to be very conscious of not putting people off with kind of being a bit of an ice maiden in my first 5 minutes.
You do give off something of a, like, sitting back and go, impress
Fuck
me.
you, impression.
No, impress me. What are you going to do?
Oh,
like,
God, I do.
There is a bit of that. And there
but
is
it's
also...
not because I'm all that. I don't know why I do that. I think it's just my face.
I think there is a bit of it in that I think in your youth, you were probably quite used to people coming up to you and you had a pick of people, it's fair to say. Not that you don't now, but I think...
No, you're right.
But I can imagine in a club, you being like, what are you going to do? What have you got that he hasn't got? And being like, I'll pick them instead. And being very nonchalant about it.
I was very dismissive.
And I think that there is still a touch of that to it. I also think that it's difficult because sometimes you genuinely are bored or don't like someone, or you're thinking of something that you didn't like. Or
I thought you were going to say sometimes you're genuinely really nice.
No, sometimes you are genuinely pissed off, bored or whatever. And the problem is it really shows on your face. It really does show on your face.
I know.
And often you kind of stick in that moment. And sometimes it's just that you've thought about the fact that you can't catch a Pokemon that's plaguing you and you'll just be off in your own little world. And I guess there's probably a necessity for you to do that because I fill in so much of the blanks and I don't stop talking. That you just wander off mentally and you're like, la, 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 la. Oh, I fucking hate that cunt from work. I wish I could stab him.
God.
And then that comes across in your face.
Wow, okay.
But so I think there is a bit of that. But also I think actually as people talk to you and get to know you, I think they realise some of that's a bit of an act and you play into it, and some of it is just fleeting moment. And actually when they speak to you properly and get to know you, you're very warm and very caring and very loving. But it can take a little while for you to warm up to people. Yes,
no, I think that's probably right. So my top tip for my own meet would be don't be so off-putting. And just I think just remember that initial meeting can really, make or break someone's impression of you, because people form impressions very quickly, don't they? Visually, especially. And I don't mean they look at you and think whether you're attractive or not, but it's really hard sometimes to break a bad connection if you've already stuffed it by just coming across as a bit of a wanker.
No, I understand that. I think my other top tip is around both sort of talking and listening. As really common sense as that is, it's sort of giving enough information about yourself so that people can get a gist of you. Have some good stories up your sleeve that you can share. I mean, this is the great thing about the lifestyle, and that we all feel a bit like that we're in that scene from Jaws and talking about the Indianapolis, and you get your scars out. And this is, this
is
the
scar.
Yeah, this is a scar. And although it went a bit Crocodile Dundee,
it was a bit Crocodile Dundee, wasn't it?
But I think there's something around that. But also listening to people and
Yeah.
asking the right questions to enable them to communicate. And I often, because of my job and because of the way that I am, I often find that I fill gaps because I'm trying to fill the silence. Silence makes me a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. And I like, as you might have guessed, thanks for listening to my podcast, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My voice, my voice, my voice. But I'm also very conscious that I will continue to tell stories until someone says something, and then I'm quite happy to listen to their stories. But it can be sometimes if I get into stuff, I'm like, I need to tell this story. And I've got another story that I need to tell. But it's having that moment to be able to step back and listen to what other people are saying.
Oh, so the people in the room too.
Yeah, and they probably have stories as great as mine. Maybe, probably. I think that's really key. And I think the sort of location obviously plays a part, where you're going to meet, the sort of environment that you're in. It helps if you're doing something fun that you can enjoy and have a laugh about. It doesn't have to be anything expensive, but I think sometimes a shared experience can be a really good fun one. And that helps break the ice and gives you all something to bond over, which can be really, really important if you're trying to build those first connections.
Me, I'd be like, let's not go somewhere too loud, because I literally can't hear for shit sometimes.
I'm the deaf one.
But I'm not even deaf, but I just can't cope with like really, really, really busy, loud environments, because I find it really hard to focus, I think, on what people are saying to me.
Yeah.
So I need something a bit more ambient.
That's fair enough. So then we had a question, and this was on Twitter, and do forgive me, people, I've forgotten your name and not written it down, so apologies in advance about this one. But they wanted to know, like, how do you deal with, like, going back into the lifestyle, going back into meets once you've had some surgery and you're sort of recovering and you may not be operating at your best, and how do you go in with that? And I think we've actually got some experience with this.
Real life experience, probably.
Some real life experience. And I think one of the things that we found when, for example, you couldn't drive, is that we had
very limiting.
We had a bit of a limiting experience, and we also had to adapt the way that we interact with people, which meant that I had to drive and that we couldn't split that up. So we kind of had to establish our roles or re-establish our roles.
And you're always sober.
I'm known
as a
for
result.
Being sober, yeah.
No, as a result of having to drive all the time.
Exactly, there's that. I think there was also a moment when you'd had some surgery on your shoulder, perhaps, where we were having to take things slowly. And again, with your dietary requirements, we found that that's got in the way. And I think
that really stopped playing.
It really did. So I think for me, it was about kind of trying to understand what the illness, what the recovery is, and how it's going to impact the roles that you're trying to fulfill.
Yeah, I think the dietary thing is a really good example, because it was almost as if I had something that was prohibiting me completely from being sexual.
Yeah.
Okay. So whether it be an injury or a condition, or in my case, an underlying nutritional deficit that was really causing me to feel profoundly unwell. All right. And that really hampered not only my libido, because I felt so poorly all the time, but also in those times when I felt all right-ish, I would still have an extreme level of nerves around, well, at any point I could feel ill again, because that was pretty much the pattern of the illness I was having. And so I could have just gone, you know what, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I don't want this uncertainty. I don't want this level of imbalance where you're obviously, there's nothing going on for you and you're like, what's happening? Whereas I was constantly, well, I don't feel sexy.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything physical. I'm not feeling it. Or I would get to a point where I'd think, actually, my mind is there and I want to participate, but physically I don't feel able to.
Yeah.
And so I did find ways to adapt, because I had to, because it was either that or not do anything.
Yeah.
And that didn't feel like the right solution either, because that would take you completely out of the equation. I know you would have stepped back if I'd asked you to and said, actually, we need to take a break. But I didn't ask you to do that. And I found ways to involve myself without compromising how I was feeling physically.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably along the same lines. And that was very much taking a backseat and a voyeuristic angle.
I think and this is really going to depend on how comfortable you are with certain roles.
And I wasn't very comfortable at all with it initially.
No,
because I was feeling left out.
Yeah.
So, but it's how you sell it to yourself. And, you could cut off your nose to spite your face and go, well, because I can't do anything. No one's doing anything.
Yeah, I get that.
And so for me, I felt at least I was still an active participant on my own terms.
Yeah.
Because I was choosing to be in the moment with you all, but just sitting back or not actually physically participating.
And I think that's the thing. It's that sort of being able to be comfortable with yourself in that situation, probably discussing it beforehand, I think, and kind of understanding the limitations of what you're able to do. And I think if you're both, if one of you is uncomfortable, you probably need to step back and kind of go, well, let's get us psychologically to a space where we're both comfortable, or let's take a break and come back to it when we thought about it. And there may be some research that you can do and kind of looking at the different ways to approach ethical non-monogamy that might help you, like sort of psychologically get your head around some of that stuff. But ultimately, if you're recovering, I think there is you also have to have a chat with your play partners or your potential play partners. So you can say, hey, are you cool if we do this? Or are you cool if we, if those two do X, Y, Z, but we can only do this? Just to make sure that actually everyone's on the same page.
Definitely.
And that's really important. So hopefully that helps. If not, then we've done a good bit of waffling for a couple of minutes, which may well be. Then I had this, I guess, the next question was a question from Mrs. H, age 49 and 3/4.
A question from me?
Yes.
Did I ask you a question?
Yes. You wanted to talk about masturbation.
Oh, ringing the devil's doorbell.
Ringing the devil's doorbell. and your sort of question was, what's our take on masturbation? Which
That's a very big topic.
Which is very, very broad. But I know that if we didn't talk about it, then you'd only continue to talk about it for the next couple of weeks. So this was an easy way to start that conversation. Get a couple of thoughts in there, a couple of, sort of processes.
Let me break that down a little bit. When I say what's our take on masturbation, I think this stems from a number of conversations I've had with very different play partners, like not just the obvious one, or like yourself or Secret Stag, because it's no secret that secret. But we've had lots of conversations because their dynamic is very hot wifey.
Yeah.
And arguably it will translate to being a very masturbatory performance for him.
Yeah.
So anyway, that got me talking, and then it got me thinking about where masturbation kind of sits in the scale of, play dynamics and, not just your own life, but also does it play a part in your play experiences? Does it, do you like to include it in play sessions with your partners, or is it something you reserve just for yourself, or is it something that you like to involve your partner in? So it spans a whole range of different reasons why it was something I was going to talk about.
You've got 10 minutes. Go.
Wait, what? Oh, you mean the questions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Wait, what? Okay. So I think it's an interesting one. So one of the things that struck me, so having some of these conversations, was, when do you masturbate?
Whenever I want.
Whenever you want.
When the mood takes me.
When the mood takes you. So
when I feel like it.
Okay. So when might that be? Let's have some typical examples. Over the last couple of weeks, when have you masturbated?
Sometimes you just don't know, do you? You just do it when you feel like it.
Okay.
Do you have like a regimented, like prescriptive time of day when you think it's time for my 3 p.m. masturbation session? Or do you like typically habitually do it as a way to get to sleep, like some people do? Or
so I don't like particularly the idea of masturbating while you're sort of trying to sleep next to me.
Oh, that'd be rude.
But that's what I mean. So I don't like...
I'm right there, dude.
Or even like you being in the house necessarily, because it's like, well, if you're in the house...
I might as well come and do it for you.
Yeah, or we might as well, sort of explore some sexy times, whether that's just us masturbating in front of each other or whatever. I would much rather involve the other.
So that answers one of my questions, which is, do you find it to be a solo thing that you do purely for yourself, or do you want someone else to be involved?
I think if it's a shared experience, that's absolutely fine. If that's part of the play that we're having, and that does happen, and has happened. I think typically, though, when I think of masturbation, it's much more about I'm by myself, so that I've got.
I'm bored. I'm going to do this now.
No, I just enjoy it. I mean, it's not that I'm bored. It's like, hey, what can I do? So I think there is a reality to that for me. I don't think I would be particularly comfortable if you were like asleep in the bed next to me or downstairs and I just started knocking one out. I'd be like, why am I doing this? Like, it's not that like you would be, if I was, hey, I'm feeling sexy, let's do a sex. You very rarely say no to that. Often you're sort of tired and you'll be like, oh, well, let's make it quick. That's fine.
But I'd rather do that than not at all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I'd hope you'd do the same with me, although I suspect you don't necessarily.
Huh?
By strumming away while you're trying to sleep.
Oh.
Always. It's terrible. I just, can't get. But it's an interesting one. So when and where do you have a wank then?
Okay. So I have probably done it in a car if I'm sat in somewhere where I'm bored.
Sat while you're bored.
Oh my God.
This is why it takes you so long to get out of the car when you get home.
Well, okay, put it another way. I am very, very, very rarely alone in a house because you work from home and I do not.
Yeah.
For one. Okay. So first off, the opportunities for me to be alone in a house without you being in the next room, minimal. Agreed?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So rarely does that happen. Okay. So there have probably been times when I don't even know where I've been.
It's not like a difficult question.
Maybe in the bath.
The bath.
I haven't had a bath for a while.
I was going to say you've not had a bath for like 6 months.
No.
I mean, you've washed, obviously, but our bath hasn't been working for like that long properly. Maybe longer.
But again, see, it's not a kind of like daily thing where I think, oh my God, I've got to do this. It's more of a occasionally I just thought, oh, I could do this now.
So you still haven't really answered the question.
I don't really know. I honestly haven't really put much thought behind where or when it happens. It just happens when it happens.
That doesn't answer, like no one's going to understand when that is. How frequently then? So out of the last, 3 weeks, how many times have you had a wank?
A handful.
A handful. Literally. All right. And where?
Oh my God. This is a right old Spanish English, isn't it? I think there may have been a time when you went to the gym and...
That's why you come back looking so sweaty from your run. Because it's fucking hard work after you've had a wank.
I have achieved the run as well.
Yeah, I know, but it's always hard work if you have a wank or have sex before you do any exercise.
Yes, it is. You're right. Occasionally in the shower, maybe, because...
Wait a minute. You have a rule about no wanking in the shower.
Oh, you? Because you get jizz on tiles. Not a huge amount. There you go. Honestly, just generally probably a handful. I used to do it way more.
And what do you think it was?
I do know that. And that's mainly because of the menopause. So and we know that was an issue.
More a finger pause than a menopause then.
And we know that was a factor because, we talked about, that was one of the reasons why you encouraged me to seek some help because you noticed that I wasn't even doing that anymore.
Yeah, your right hand strength was fucking zilch.
And so, habitually that definitely has declined. I know that because I used to do that probably way, way more. And then since menopause hit me, it's really, really, really taken a dip.
Okay.
So yeah, way less than it used to be.
Well, there we go, folks. A bit of inside knowledge, literally.
So given that your particular style is more of a, I'm on my own, I could do this now. If you thought someone was watching you, and I don't even mean it has to be me, but someone, does that make it harder for you to do it because it's a kind of a bit of stage fright, or does that appeal to you?
I don't think there's necessarily stage fright. I think I'm particular over who watches me, as we've discussed many, many times. But like, I'm quite happy to play with myself in front of you. I don't have any, and if anything, it's a showy experience. And I don't have an issue. I don't really I don't think anyone's really asked me to do it in front of them.
Other than me.
other than you, perhaps. Maybe one or two people out of the millions and millions of screaming, adoring fans that are obviously getting their tickets ready for the single guy show. But honestly, I don't think many people have asked me to do that. I think I've asked people to masturbate in front of me so I can see how they do it before. Mm-hmm. But that's often, it's like a fleeting moment of education that sort of enables me to pick up that technique or how they like it, and paint me like one of your French girls, and then I can immediately sort of do that. What about you though? Because I guess for women, is it a bit different? Does it feel slightly less creepy than standing over the bed and just wanking?
So I think I'm not actually a big fan of being watched so much doing it, because I think that would actually then make me retreat back into my head in terms of, oh no, now what if I take too long? And, what if they're getting bored watching because it's taken me so long to do it?
Yeah.
So actually that probably wouldn't help. Obviously, if I didn't know they were watching and then at the end they revealed themselves, then great.
Ta-da!
Hey, I was here all along.
Just imagine them like the
Hamburglar behind the door.
And you just gently hear them.
No. So maybe if I couldn't see them, that might be more alluring.
So we need an invisible wanker.
But I do like watching.
Mm-hmm.
And that would probably be my go-to kind of porn. If I was going to look at porn, that would probably be the top of what
and
I
is
was
this
searching.
Men and women masturbating, or is it
Mainly women?
Okay.
Although I do kind of find it sexy to watch a guy wank as well. So, but probably more so women.
More so women.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do like watching either.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'd want to maybe watch, I don't particularly like watching sex. So I wouldn't want to go and watch an orgy, for example, or a big pile of people having sex. That doesn't necessarily turn me on.
Okay.
Well, it's not a turn on. I just mean it's
so
not.
You're more of the hiding in the cupboard stalker variety as someone's masturbating.
No, what I mean is I'd rather watch someone pleasure themselves than pleasure someone else.
Okay.
I find that more sexually appealing.
Okay.
And I think that's because of the psychological kind of link that sits behind why people do it.
Okay.
Whereas I know why people have sex. It's because they want to have sex and because they find someone attractive or because they just want to have sex.
Well, that's why I masturbate, because I find me attractive. I can't back that up.
Reasons why people masturbate are, it could be that they're turned on by a particular kind of porn. And that makes me quite interested because I'm always interested into the cerebral, what's happening in your head that's making you act the way you're doing, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's probably why it's more intrinsically appealing to me, because I like to know what makes people tick. Okay. I like to know what's in your head. And so knowing that someone's pleasuring themselves makes me then wonder what's in their heads at the time of doing it. And that's the turn on.
What's in your head while you're
fuck
masturbating?
Knows. You want to know what's in my head?
Fuck knows.
I'm talking about what's in other people's heads.
Yeah, but what's in yours?
Or maybe what's in my head is wondering what's in other people's heads.
Oh God, it's like one of those endless mirrors.
It's like a Christopher Nolan movie. I suggest you abort this line of questioning. There's never one thing that's in my head. Truthfully, it could be anything. But generally speaking, it's probably more of a solo line of thought rather than, I'm imagining a big crowd of people having sex. I never, ever imagine that.
You went a bit Alan Partridge there. Imagining a group of people and they're all
watching all
having
the sex people. Maybe I just think about cheese, I don't know. No, I never really think about lots of people having sex. And if I watched porn with people just fucking, I can understand aesthetically it's sexy to watch, but I wouldn't really want to. It's kind of like, all right, they're having sex, great.
Interestingly, I don't find like group porn to be of any particular interest.
Interesting.
And I think there's probably because it's almost like there's so much going on that you can't really zone in on anything in particular. And therefore it just becomes a bit of a mass. It's different when you're involved in it and you've got the
100%.
And you've got the sight and you've got the touch and you've got the smell, but all of that stuff and the atmosphere that goes with it is really sexy, and I really love that. But actually just watching it, I'm like, I can't. I
mean, this explains a lot anyway.
Well, yeah, maybe, but it wouldn't absolutely be my go-to sort of porn. But in fact, if you're sort of swiping through Pornhub or whatever, and like a group thing comes up, I'm like, nope, next, next.
Exactly.
It's a weird thing.
Now I can use my imagination, but my recollection, I should say, of my own experiences in group encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I can recall some of my favourite moments of those, or the bits that particularly turn me on. And I can think of those in a moment alone or with, when I'm having sex, and think back to those times. And they flash through my head like a little, picture book of, I remember when, I don't know, this woman went down on me. It was really hot. Or I remember when I was, I was sucking your cock while someone was going down on me. There's all these little images that come back to me quite a lot. And I often refer to those, but I wouldn't want to seek out visual porn with people I've never met before having sex.
So you finger through your Rolodex of memories.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
Absolutely.
So interesting.
And that's one of the great reasons why I love what we do, because I've got this amazing, gallery now in my head constantly of things I can refer to and think about frequently. And that's probably more often than not what spurs me into feeling, oh, I remember this.
So how would you feel then about video clips of what we're doing?
People we know?
With people that we like. So if we, for example, filmed some stuff that we were doing.
Right.
And I appreciate most of our filming experience tends to be with just one couple that we trust.
Right.
And you tend to be the person behind the camera or sometimes involved. But what if the tables were turned and you had, I don't know, a video of you having this sexy time with a lady or whatever? Would you want to see that, and would you masturbate to it?
No, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't want to see it, and you wouldn't want to masturbate?
No, I'd happy to see it. I wouldn't masturbate to it.
Okay. Is that because you don't normally look at porn when you masturbate?
I think it's because I prefer to use the imagery that exists in my mind of what that experience was, rather than looking at a visual reminder.
Got it. I've got the solution. We strap a camera to your head, peep show style.
Oh my God. Would I have to keep my eyes open when I kiss people?
Yeah.
And carry 2 bags of Iceland carry bags around with me all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Frozen food in.
That would be the weirdest porn ever, wouldn't it?
Really messed up. Probably pay good money for that. Like, what is happening here?
All right then. Any other things that you'd like to add to masturbation while we're on the topic?
I do like stories.
You do like stories?
Yeah.
As in
reading a story.
Yeah. Okay.
I love reading the words and then imagining that myself rather than
this is fascinating because you...
What, well, I can read?
No.
Fuck you.
No, not that. Because you absolutely hate sexy texts and messages. Like, you're vehemently
well, that's because I know that person.
I know. And that's...
Whereas the story's written by someone I've never met.
The story's written by someone that you've never...
But someone I never will meet.
But you're putting yourself into the position...
I know.
So
it's not awkward because I'm never going to meet them. They're not real. You're real.
Oh, dear.
I know. I did tell you I'm a bit...
I'm going to be like, this dude called Mr. Yates, which you've never met, is totally going to fuck your ass, and it's going to be this, and he's going to like spank the shit, and you're like, going to be like, wow, I can totally get behind this. And at the end, I'm like, I was Mr. Yates all along.
The H is silent.
the Y was silent. Yates.
No.
You've been making a sex story with me all along.
Wow, that's a low blow. All right, I like stories because you very often will find something that appeals to any facet of your imagination, right? If you were to Google anything at all that was in your head and went, I wonder if there's some erotic fiction of some sort about whatever.
That's literally what Google does.
God.
Yeah, you just described Google.
No.
If you got this thought in your head and you put it into this thing called a search engine,
shut up.
Google of which is the most popular, it'll bring back loads of stuff.
There's always going to be some level of erotica written about any topic, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because someone out there is probably sharing the same thing as you.
If you can think it, you can write it down and someone else can fuck themselves
to it.
And I
suppose the difference is you don't ever have to try and meet these people to have a shared encounter. You can just read what they've written about that experience that probably exists in your own mind as well. And I quite like that connection. Someone I'm never going to meet, but has somehow got a connection with me, literally, because they're writing a story that's kind of catering for what I want in that particular moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, This is great. I can read this and I can get off and it's great.
Okay.
So I probably masturbate more to erotic fiction than, visual stuff.
Than fiction. or even factual-based books.
Stephen King just isn't sexy anymore.
I was going to go with Stephen Hawking.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about those planets.
Although I don't think I ever masturbated to 50 Shades of Grey.
I don't think
it
you
was
ever
just
did.
a bit too bland.
It was a bit too trite for you, wasn't it?
A little bit.
The language is a bit flowery, perhaps.
Ugh.
But it's an interesting one. What about audiobooks? How about that? How does that sit with you?
I don't think I've ever listened to one. No, that's a lie. We listened to one in the car.
Oh, Teaching Carol by Zen Mackie, I want to say.
I quite enjoyed it. I don't think I would seek it out as a thing.
Okay.
Weird. I just don't ever think I've got the time for it.
So maybe what I need to do for our forthcoming America trip is find some naughty audiobooks for you and then just let you listen to those while you're on the plane.
Oh my God. That's like a 9-hour flight, right?
Yep.
Oh, I have done it on a plane.
I know you've done it on a plane.
Yeah.
Yep, you've done all sorts of things.
I think I woke up and told you.
Yeah, you did.
Because you were asleep.
Uh-huh.
And I woke you up and told you.
And you also got me to do it.
Well, yeah, but also I did it half in my sleep on the plane. And then I woke up going, oh my God, this has just happened. And I woke you up and told you.
Mm-hmm. Smell my fingers. What have I been up to?
That's because I'm excited about planes. But anyway.
You do get very excited about planes.
Yeah, so audio kind of wouldn't be something I'd seek out. But on reflection, that one time I listened to that one book, it was okay.
Okay, fair enough.
So maybe.
It's interesting.
Who knows?
All right. Well, okay, we're going to wrap things up now, I think. We've talked about masturbation enough. We need to go and do some actual masturbation as opposed to
go in separate rooms.
Go to your room and wank about what you've said.
I shall go to the top floor. You should go to the lower floor.
Well, surely I should go to the top floor because then I can just send it down to you.
Oh. What, like an arc?
An arc. I'm like a fire hydrant. Come wherever I like.
Gracefully soaring over the banisters.
Arcing over the banister rail, past the mule post.
Oh my God.
So we live in a townhouse, so through all 3 stories down to the...
Liberally spraying the milky drops through the air. I'll probably land on one of the pet's packs.
It's all right, but they're good at cleanup. They're great.
Oh, gross.
Saves so much hassle and so much on tissue. I am very wrong. Anyways, thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed this show today. I want to say, if you get the chance and you'd like to come along, please get tickets to our Winter Wonderland thing. Honestly, it's going to be such an incredible event. And we're going to be talking about it a lot over the coming weeks and months, as you might imagine. But honestly, I've never felt this excited about an event that we're part of and that we're organising. I think this is huge. And it has the capacity to change a bit of the landscape of the way some of these things go out there. I mean, if this is really popular, then we can look at doing even bigger things, or we can look at start expanding stuff. But, these things, honestly, they're not cheap. So there is, we really want people to come along. We really want people to invest in it. And we know that going to any of these sorts of events is always a bit of a gamble. But we've done a whole bunch of them. We've done a whole bunch of things leading up to this. And I think we're ready to kick ass at the Winter Wonderland. I really do.
I think so too.
All right, Mrs.
I can't wait to see your Mr. Tumnus outfit.
Do you think?
Well, thank you for hopping into our bed.
So when we first met,
right,
you said that you could come in under 3 minutes.
I can.
Is that still true?
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Go.
No, because I can't do it right now because A, you're watching me, B, the dog's like clattering around behind me. Where's my fucking audiobook? You promised me.
Your audiobook of fucking.
Let me just use Google a second because apparently Google has what I need.
Did you know there's this thing called a search engine?
Oh,
I use this thing called Ask Jeeves, and you type in whatever you want.
Nobody uses Ask Jeeves. I use Bing or nothing
Jeeves
else.
is a fucking saint. I'll not hear a bad word against him.
Ask Jeeves.
And I tell Jeeves, I'm like, Jeeves, mate, like I need to know about where the nearest swinging club is to me. And off he scurries. There's this old dude.
Comes up with his little weight tray.
Yeah, with his weight tray. And he comes back the list of stuff that I can look at the internet.
I just go to Ask Jeeves and say, hey, Jeeves, what can I masturbate to today? I'm feeling really messed up.
Feeling really
I'd like a bucket of
masturbatory.
soapy frogs, please.
So search engines are a thing, apparently.
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.